Joining us, the ranking member on the Foreign Relations Committee and a member of the Armed Services Committee, Democratic Senator Shaheen of New Hampshire. Really good to have you. Thank you for joining us.
Good afternoon. Nice to be with you.
So your focus last night was on the economy as well. You brought a guest, and that was the executive director of the New Hampshire Food Bank, Elsie Cipriani. Tell me what voters in your state are telling you about what they want.
They want a more affordable cost of living. They're seeing housing costs at an all-time high in New Hampshire. They're seeing grocery prices still too high at the grocery store. They're seeing energy costs continuing to go up. They're seeing their health insurance costs rising. And this president has not done enough to address those things after promising that this was going to be the focus of his administration. So people are anxious. They're really struggling to make ends meet.
I saw last night. I was taken by how focused Abigail Spanberger was in the messaging. It was really heavily about affordability, about the economy. Is your life better and easier today than it was last year? She also talked about what we've been seeing on the streets, the killing of 2 American citizens, what's been happening to detainees and to people who are fearing ICE. So those 2 things were pretty front and center. Are the Democrats on the same page with how to campaign, how to talk to the American public?
Well, I think very much, because this is what we're hearing from our constituents. As you pointed out, the head of the New Hampshire Food Bank was with me last night, and one of the things she pointed out is that we have 1 in 9 people in New Hampshire who are food insecure, 1 in 7 children. New Hampshire's a relatively well-to-do state. We're a small state. We have a strong business environment, and yet we still have that level of food insecurity. And what people are addressing is the fact that not only has support for food assistance been cut back under the president's reconciliation bill that passed last year, but they're also dealing with tariffs. And even though the Supreme Court struck down the tariffs, the fact is the president is reimposing them at a cost of about $1,600 a household. So people are paying a double whammy. They're paying more because their support has been cut off, and then they're seeing higher prices.
Last night, the president touched on Iran. We were just talking about it a moment ago with Ben Rhodes. Do you have a sense of where we're headed?
I don't. Unfortunately, the president has, they had a brief meeting of the Gang of 8, the top leadership in national security in Congress this week. They haven't shared with more broadly what the plans are. It's not clear to me that they know what the plans are, and they've had really mixed messaging. The fact is, when Secretary Rubio came before the Foreign Relations Committee a couple of weeks ago, he pointed out that we have 40,000 Americans within missile striking distance of Iran. There is no guarantee, if we try and go for regime change in Iran, that the regime that succeeds the Ayatollah is going to be any better. It could be the IRGC. It could result in civil war in Iran. All of us want to help the Iranian people. Their struggle has been courageous, and the fact that they have been so repressed by the Ayatollah and his regime is very discouraging. But we need to be very careful about what we do in Iran.
The other foreign policy topic is Ukraine. It's been 4 years now of war in Ukraine. We just marked the 4-year anniversary just the other day.
Yesterday.
Yeah, yesterday. Can Ukraine sustain itself?
I just came back from Odessa last week with 3 other senators. What we saw was just how much the Ukrainians are, how courageous they are, how resilient they are. They want peace, but they want a peace that's just, that provides for long-term security for the country, and that ensures freedom and continued sovereignty of their own country. And unfortunately, what we're seeing right now at the negotiating table is that Russia and Vladimir Putin are not serious about negotiating. And this administration has been unwilling to put the kind of pressure on Russia that they need to make Putin serious about negotiating. We need to be providing more arms and weapons that the Ukrainians need. We need to amp up the pressure on the Russian economy to shut down their war machine by shutting down the shadow fleet that provides the oil revenue they need. We need to increase sanctions on their economy. We need to make it really tough for Russia so that Putin comes to the table, because that's all he understands.
Well, that is what you've been arguing. Explain to me your vote and the shadow fleet.
Well, what we want to do is to separate the shadow fleet from the monetary system, and that's what my legislation would do. And that means that it makes it harder for countries to buy that Russian oil because they would be sanctioned. That's what we want to do. We want to squeeze the Russian economy in a way that means they don't have those sources of revenue to fund their war machine.